My name is Leonardo Delgado, and I'm going to talk about two topics that interest me in particular, those being political correctness and inclusive language. So we're going to go and ask around a bunch of students at CSGE to input their opinions, and I'm going to ask them to elaborate further. So we're going to start with Mateo. Mateo, what is your general opinion regarding inclusive language?
I believe it's a must-have in our community. We have been experiencing some type of exclusion with these type of groups. At some point, there has even been some violent acts against them. But I believe that every community should have a guideline for exclusive language, and maybe give us an example of these words.
All right, that was a great answer. So we're going to move on with Elliot. Elliot, what is your general opinion when it comes to people wanting to use words that better represent certain genders?
Well, I don't think there's nothing wrong or bad in the idea of letting an inclusive society. It's just that we don't have to change the words that we already use, or change how the words has have to be written. You know, just to just with changing uh, how we speak, we are going to create those big changes that people want.
Do you think the way we speak somehow impacts the way that we view, for example, women and men?
I think so, but as I already say, we just have to change the way that we talk. Like instead of saying man, like people or man and woman.
All right, thank you. That was a great answer. So uh, we're going to move on to with Valentina. So, Valentina, what is your general opinion when it comes to inclusive language as well as political correctness?
So I think both have like a good purpose, which is including everyone. And I think that we should include everyone. But I think that actions impact more than language. Obviously, the way that we talk and we refer to people impacts on the way that they think about us. But I think that with actions, we can include people better in a better way than changing the way that we talk and the way that we refer to people.
All right, thank you. That was a great answer. All right, so we're going to move on with Rodrigo. Rodrigo, do you think that language really can impact the way that we see people?
If I be honest, I guess that inclusive language is insignificant, really, because it's unnecessary. For example, all the language is made for communicate with another persons and people. Sorry, and the inclusive language, there's the only definitely for be comfort with them. It's not necessary on the society, and I think the way that we talk is not important for the all the people.
Do you think other measures could be taken so that other people are included more?
I guess yes, in many cases, but our society is insignificant because it's just a way to communicate with others. It's not necessary.
Okay, so we're going to move on with Khalil, and Khalil is going to tell us why she thinks about inclusive language and the way it's used.
Well, I think inclusive language in certain point it is good because you will include people maybe with some disabilities or discapacities, but also maybe the type of language can affect them because instead of feeling included, they maybe will feel excluded because we are going to use different words to talk or refer to them.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on with Gisela. So, Gisela Garza, could you tell us what is your general opinion about political correctness and also the way that it is somehow being supported in a sense or enforced?
Um, I think that maybe it's good for some people to try to include people in the way that we talk and we express to them, but some words or expressions are not grammatically correct to refer to them. but maybe with some actions and maybe with others expressions and other kind of words, we could make them feel included and not to make them feel well excluded from society. I think that's so.
What else do you think are other important measures so that these people don't feel left out?
Maybe with not 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 letting them a part of social groups, or they could tell us how they feel about how we express to them or we talk to them, for us to try to not change the expressions or words that we use, but maybe just to make them feel like listened.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna move on with Miguel Alonso, and he's gonna tell us what he thinks about the recent uptick in this sort of language being used.
In my opinion, it have a good purpose to include people in a better way, but I think it's something unnecessary. Change our language or our way to speak to feel better other people.
Why exactly is it that you feel it's unnecessary?
Because when we refer to a group in general, there's also included these people. So
All right, we're gonna move on with Camila, and she today is gonna tell us if she thinks that the use of this sort of language could dramatically improve the way that marginalized groups are portrayed.
I think inclusive language and political corrections do help society to include everyone, but also can get out of context and people can use it more to its favor instead of including everyone. And at some point, this will affect society in the way they communicate.
What do you think are other drastic things that dramatically improve the way these groups are viewed?
By the way they are referring to them and changing the purpose to other words that can be controversial.
All right, thank you. All right, so now Javier is going to tell us what he thinks could be some helpful examples of using this sort of political correct and language inclusive vocabulary.
I think inclusive language is useful not only to make people feel less offended, but also we can learn more new words we didn't use before and new ways to express. For example, instead of saying mom and dad, we could say parents. Instead of saying guys, we could say students or classmates.
All right, thank you. I think those are, helpful examples. All right, now with Paula, I want to hear what she has to say about this.
My opinion about this is that inclusive language was created with a very good intentions, but nowadays I think that the meaning has been changed. Now we focus more on the momentary feelings of the person who may or may not be offended about it.
All right, so now we're with teacher Juanis, and she is going to tell us her general opinion regarding political correctness and also the recent uptick and use of inclusive language.
Well, do I agree with are you saying do I agree with political correctness and inclusive language?
Yes, it's just your general opinion.
Yes, I believe that using politically correct terms and inclusive language is best because it definitely makes the category more vague. And for example, if someone may not be the brightest, you politically correct, you could say maybe intellectually challenged, right? So it wouldn't be as offensive. And also inclusive language, well, we're living in a society where we're talking about equality is a big focus. So making a neutral word would be best, so that way you don't distinguish between men and women, since we are all about equality nowadays.
Do you feel that it is the duty of people to sort of try and acclimate to this language, trying to incorporate it into your daily speech?
Yes, I do believe people should make an effort to be more aware of how they are addressing people, because sometimes we just speak in gender terms, and if we do that, we are being stereotypical, right? Because if you go to a restaurant and a person says, well, where's my waitress? You are assuming that it is a woman that is going to be serving or that has this type of job. Why? Right? Why would you assume that it's a woman? Or the same thing with a firefighter. Why would you say just a fireman instead of a firefighter? Because you are assuming that it's stereotypical that a man would have this type of occupation.
All right, so just to sort of close off this question, do you think that using this sort of language is one of the most important measures that we have to take? Or do you think that ultimately your time would be better spent working towards other measures to make sure nobody feels left out?
I think it's a beginning. It's a start. I think that if we can be able to address people with I guess I don't want to say label, but if you can start labeling people in a neutral kind of way, I think we can move towards other more important issues. I think it's like the tip of the iceberg. If we can start referring to everyone inclusively, then maybe we can start to see them as being inclusive.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, now we're going to go with teacher Melissa, and she is also going to share her opinion about these topics, those being political correctness and also inclusive language. She is going to give us her general opinion and also any other notes that she might have.
All right, thank you. Well, on the first topic, that is political correctness, my opinion is that it's okay to use words that are more political correct instead of using despective or sort of kind of word that can hurt feelings of someone. And I think it would be better if all the people are educated in the aspect of using proper language for concepts that are very stigmatizing in our society. So I think it's a good way to improve education in people in general.
So do you feel it is a sort of social responsibility for people to try and learn this new way of speaking and this general new language? Do you think it's a responsibility of the people?
Yeah, because for example, if you use words that are not correct or appropriate for the people, like if you use it in a despective way, that can hurt the person, the feelings of the person, or that can it doesn't sound correct. So instead of that, it would be better if the society start changing the way that we call the people or call the actions, so using more proper language that are correct.
All right, so on that general topic, I also want to talk to you about inclusive language, which is very similar to political correctness and the way it is used, but it sort of takes a more general approach. For example, using gender neutral words or referring to people with disabilities in a way that is not that offensive. So what is your general opinion about all these uses of inclusive language?
Okay, regarding the neutral gender, nowadays it's very common to see more and more schools, teachers, and in general educational schools, where they start introducing these type of words, gender neutral, because inclusive. I heard some teachers in the United States that they start asking at the beginning of the year the students what is the gender pronoun they prefer. I don't know. I'm not sure if I share these, do my beliefs and all that, but I respect it. So if the teachers feel more comfortable to ask the students and make them feel comfortable in their classes by using the proper pronoun that they choose, it's okay. But in my personal case, I would not do that type of activity, because I haven't handled, or I haven't applied these pronouns. I haven't used them in my daily life. Maybe because as Mexico society, we are kind of discovered these new type of way to call the society, the people in general. So in Mexico, I think there's so we are not open mind to that. most of the people on that matter.
Do you think Mexican culture could benefit from sort of adapting these kind of practices? And also, do you think that this sort of attitude towards pronouns could be beneficial if it was adapted, for example, in the workplace or when you are shopping or et cetera, et cetera?
That is very controversial because I will share my personal opinion because it's very related to my beliefs. But once again, I respect it anyway. I think that Mexico is not prepared yet in the aspect that there are a lot of people that is not up in mind to the new concept. But something that it has to be very clear and established is that any word that they use to describe people, well, more than anything, the people that prefer to be called that way because they prefer it has to be respected. So that will be my opinion.
All right, that was a very good answer. Thank you. I really enjoyed all the answers, especially the ones that the teachers made. So yeah, this has been it. Thank you for tuning in to the Political Correctness and Inclusive Language podcast. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time.